Have you ever felt trapped in the passenger seat of your own life? You're just sitting there in the dark, watching the world blur past, hoping some perfect opportunity or random savior will suddenly yank you out of your rut. That savior doesn't exist. If you want to change your trajectory, you have to stand in front of what I call the accountability mirror. You have to strip away the polite excuses and look honestly at the lazy, mediocre habits keeping you anchored in place. Being stuck isn't a symptom of bad luck or circumstance. It is the direct result of waiting for a magical wave of motivation instead of taking extreme personal responsibility for your own actions. To understand why we default to this passive state, we need to look at our internal wiring. This diagram represents your biological governor. It's a survival mechanism prioritizing comfort the second you experience stress. When you push yourself in a grueling challenge, this governor misinterprets that friction as a physical threat, shutting down your energy pathways to force rest. Your own feelings act as a liar. They whisper highly logical-sounding excuses to keep you secure under the warm covers, exactly while your competition is out working in the cold. Think about the small dash carved onto a tombstone between the year of birth and the year of death. That tiny line represents every second you have on this earth. To make it count, you need the urgency to make that roaring dash echo long after you're gone. You have a choice. You can execute on your goals right now and make sure your life roars into eternity, or skip the hard things and let that dash fade away as a pathetic whisper. Overriding those survival-based excuses with logic is a biological requirement if you want to outrun the trap of a mediocre life. We bypass that programming by tapping into a state called alpha flow. This is a highly specific mode of operation, where your internal identity, your daily habits, and your outward results all align perfectly. The first step to triggering alpha flow is securing a tactical advantage before the sun even comes up. For many elite performers, that means waking up at 3 a.m., stepping out of bed into a pitch-black room with absolute purpose. This extreme early wake-up serves as a preemptive psychological strike. It forces the brain to acknowledge that logic is now consistently louder than the emotional desire to stay comfortable. While the rest of the world hits the snooze button to delay their responsibilities, you are already building a measurable lead in the dark. By winning the morning, you prove to your conscious mind that you dictate your physical actions. You successfully bypass your biological governor for the rest of the day. Curious tone. Take a look at this capacity gauge. This visualizes the reality of the 40% rule. When you hit a wall and your brain begins screaming at you to quit, you have actually only depleted 40% of your true capacity. The rest of the tank is sitting right there, completely available. To access that remaining reserve, you have to initiate a mental override. Instead of passively listening to your feelings, you actively talk to yourself using logic, forcing your body to push past that initial wall of discomfort. You cannot reach those deep reserves while you're distracted. You have to employ the dark room strategy. You need to disappear, isolate yourself from the noise of the outside world, and focus entirely on your craft. It is highly tempting to post every single workout or big idea online for a quick hit of cheap dopamine. But seeking that instant validation actively drains the kinetic energy you need to break past your 40% threshold. True growth happens in the mental lab. It is a lonely chapter where nobody is watching or clapping, and you use the wreckage of your past traumas as tuition to pay for your future growth. Deep, permanent mental hardening requires total silence. External applause has no place where internal logic and strict discipline are being forged. Ultimately, success is a lifestyle, not a destination. You actually have to be the champion in your daily actions long before you ever hold the title. Your entire routine has to serve as a manuscript of your future self. The raw focus and physical exhaustion of a true champion are cultivated for years in the shadows, well before the world ever sees a single public victory. This brings us to the 120% rule. In a world completely overflowing with people who are merely interested in success, giving a 70% effort will never yield a 100% result. Your daily grind must precisely match the scale of your dream. That is the core definition of discipline, building the capacity to do the exact things you absolutely hate, but executing them with the intensity of someone who loves them. We often view that kind of strictness as a punishment, But holding yourself to an unbreakable standard is actually the highest, most authentic form of self-love you can practice. So here is your assignment. Do not just watch this and move on to the next distraction. Look into your own accountability mirror today and ask yourself one binary question. Did I get better today? If the answer is no, you have to treat your past failures as a planting rather than a burial. You must rise from that wreckage by choosing to let your old, mediocre self die, so a new version can lead. This is the resurrection decision, the private choice to reinvent a soul unrecognizable to the person who lost. The truth is that nobody is reaching down to pull you out of the hole. You alone are the architect of a life where your grind finally matches the scale of your dreams. Now, go get after it.